Hello, Padres Nation, and welcome back to another video. It is so good to say that the Padres are making even more moves after the Michael King signing. We are getting a Twins player and a player from Korea. Sung-mun Song is the big name on the list, but also from the Twins, Jose Miranda. It is so great to see that the Padres are finally making moves during this slow winter. So, Brandon, as always, let me get your thoughts first on Sung-mun Song, and then we'll get into the Jose Miranda bits and bobs. So first of all, what's your thoughts on Sunman Song?
Yeah, I wrote this up on the front page as soon as it broke. This is a nice signing. Again, it's not quite the level of power bat that the Padres need. He's been very good in Korea the last couple years. In 2025, Song had a 917 OPS. He had career highs in home runs with 26 and stolen bases with 25. So he's a power speed threat. He's 29 years old, so it's a 3-year deal. Not necessarily a long-term pact here, but he's a nice pickup. He's been a third baseman in Korea. It's expected at this point he'll probably play first or second base in the major leagues. So again, if nothing happens, if there's no trades or anything, it probably means he'll take over first base while Jake Cronenworth stays at second. But regardless of how that works out, it's a really nice pickup. Again, the KBO is a little bit more hitter friendly. The pitching quality isn't quite the same as it is in the major league, so expect his stats to generally drop off. But the Padres have had success with converts from the KBO. Obviously most people will think about Ha-Seong Kim, who became like a star in 2023 for the Padres, who's gone on to have a very nice career. Again, that's sort of the hope here with Song. But at the end of the day, again, we talked about this in another video, but you got Michael King for the rotation. That was such an important need. Getting Song, it doesn't quite fill the exact same need on the offensive side, but it's another, major league capable bat. It's another guy who could, he's versatile. He can play multiple positions. And if his power translates, that's, again, that's the big need on offense for the Padres. So it's a really nice pickup and one I'm happy to see the Padres be aggressive on.
Yeah, like we discussed in another video, Michael King was kind of the big signing here. It was a $75 million contract. It was the big money move here. Sungmun Song is still, like you said, a great pickup here because we lost so many players after 2025. And it's not exactly a rebuild, I would call it, but it's safe picks here. So many
Mhm.
teams in 2025, are kind of going through this. I guess you could call it like slow rebuild phase. And I don't know how long Sun Mung Song is gonna stick around for. And like you said, he'll probably end up in the first base slot. But what I'm really excited for, like you said, is watching him, be a power hitting threat. Because that's kind of what we need on the Padres right now. Besides Fernando Tatis Jr., we're kind of missing that right now. And like you said, it's a little bit different. They play it fast and loose in Korea, right? But at the same time, it's going to be really interesting seeing him play in America, in the MLB. I also want to, quickly talk about Jose Miranda for a second. He was on the Twins for a little bit. They're moving him to a minor league contract. But the thing that I always will talk about is that it's always good to have somebody on the back burner. There is time and time again that injuries will happen. And, he's been in the majors for quite some time. So he has that experience already. So listen, injuries are going to happen. I'll put money on he's going to get brought back up at some point.
Yeah, I think again, it's what you just said, right? The Padres have been focused mostly on depth to this point in the offseason. Again, Song is probably going to be a starter, if not, just straight up utility player. But the Miranda signing goes more in line with Dyson Acosta, Ty Adcock, Kyle Hart, that sort of level of move. But it's still a really nice one. He really struggled in 2025. Injuries plagued him. He barely got any playing time with the Twins, who were not a very good team, but he's had a lot of success in the past. It was just last year in 2024 that he had a 114 WRC plus. So he's 14% above average. In terms of just overall hitting production. So I mean that's the kind of caliber of player that Jose Miranda is. Again, he's going to get an invite to spring training. Maybe he breaks the roster as a bench bat. Again, he's not exactly the best fielder in the world, but he's also capable of playing first and third base, excuse me. So it's just another savvy signing. It won't have quite the same impact on the 2026 Padres as the Song signing will. But again, he's a proven major league hitter when he's been healthy. That's what the Padres need to be targeting. Unless they find, the money in the couch cushions to sign Kyle Tucker or something, which they won't. These are the kind of moves the Padres need to be making repeatedly this offseason to just give themselves that extra margin of error. And I'm really glad to see, again, Song is the big name here. And again, I'm really hopeful for his rookie season in 2026. But getting Miranda was a really savvy, sort of backup move behind that Song move.
I think the kind of closing remarks I'm going to say here is I'm really excited to see, as we all are probably at this point, to see what's going to happen with Sung-mun Song during spring training. Now that he's in the MLB officially, it'll be really interesting to see how he meshes with the Padres and kind of see how his growth is going to happen before the official start of the season. But as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on the acquisition of these two players? Do you think this is going to help the Padres, hurt the Padres? Of course, we'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, we'll respond to every single one.